Out front now, Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger of Illinois. He is also, of course, a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, and he served as an Air Force pilot in Afghanistan. Knows this better than anyone. And Congressman, I really appreciate your time tonight. So, you know, I know first as a human, but in your case as a veteran who was there, who served in Afghanistan, when you heard today that imminent attack had happened, and those numbers, first is 3, then it's 4, then it's 10, then it's 11, then it's 12, and just before we came on the air, 13 service members dead, 18 more wounded, some of them critically. What was your reaction to that?
Well, I mean, it's heartbreaking. It's surreal. You know, we haven't lost anybody in Afghanistan since February of 2020. I wasn't surprised, sadly. We had gotten a briefing even a couple days ago in Congress that had very crystal clear, actually, intelligence and details about what was to be expected. So I wasn't overly surprised, but it's a tragic day, and I can't imagine, you know, obviously the families of those lost, particularly since we're getting ready to leave Afghanistan. But it's a reminder, I think, that, you know, as much as people talk about ending the endless wars, the enemy gets a vote. And they made that vote clear today because they knew we were leaving and still attacked and inflicted damage and killed Americans.
So President Biden today got an exchange with a reporter, and he made the case that, you know, and obviously today is the deadliest day in a decade, at least, for American service members in Afghanistan. And he said the reason that no American service member has died since February of 2020 was because in the deal that President Trump struck with the Taliban, it was, if you don't kill us, we're going to leave by May 1st. And he said that's why no American service members have died. But it was because of that negotiation between Trump and the Taliban. And then he continued to say that if he were to have come in office and said, forget it, I'm going to trash that deal and we're going to stay in, that was not the scenario that would have happened. That what would have happened was, in order to throw out that deal, he would have had to put a whole lot more American service members in, thousands more troops, he says, back into Afghanistan to fight a war. Do you think he's right? Is that fair?
I mean, he's right in that he would have had to put more troops in because, keep in mind, President Trump went from 5,000 troops to 2,500 at the very end of last year. And there were a lot of people realizing, I think, that he did that so that he could kind of box Joe Biden in. Joe Biden would either have to increase the troop level or withdraw everybody. Now, keep in mind, we've had upwards of over 100,000 troops in Afghanistan for a significant part of our history. But look, both people bear blame here. And I know in such a tribal moment that we live in, we can't fathom that both Republicans and Democrats could bear blame because each side's busy pointing at the other. But Donald Trump set up a deal, you know, that would make Neville Chamberlain blush as he's out there saying, you know, that this war's not worth it. We're going to leave. My goal is to leave. It's an endless war. Then he empowers Pompeo to go negotiate a deal in that context. Pompeo negotiated a bad deal. They weren't following the deal, the Taliban. They weren't ceasing attacks. They still went forward as if this deal was working. And then after he got out of his office, he even as recently as a month ago said, I boxed Joe Biden in. At the same time, Joe Biden, who has reversed a lot of Donald Trump's stuff, including Nord Stream 2 sanctions and things along that line, made the decision to leave. He owns this decision as much as Donald Trump and the execution. I just think both Republicans and Democrats have failed the American people.
So, Congressman, one thing that Biden said tonight in that press conference that he seemed to say, at least from what I heard kind of directly for the first time, was that he cannot guarantee that every one of the United States Afghan allies will be able to get out. And he was very specific about that. I wanted to play the exchange so that everybody who didn't hear it can.
What do you say to the Afghans who helped troops who may not be able to get out by August 31st?
I say we're going to continue to try to get you out. It matters. Getting every single person out can't be guaranteed by anybody.
And he went and said, you know, throughout history, at the end of a war, nobody's ever gotten everybody out. Do you accept that as the reality here?
No, I mean, look, there's no doubt when we chose the easy decision, quote unquote, to leave, you know, following this endless war stuff, it actually confronts us with really bad decisions. And the decision now is we either follow through on an arbitrary August 31st deadline that only exists because initially it was September 11th, then the White House realized the optics of that, or we leave, or we have to stay past that to get everybody out. Look, you're not going to get everybody out that wants to leave Afghanistan, but we certainly owe it to those that we promised out and to every American citizen. And I think we need to stay till that job is done.
All right, Congressman Kinzinger, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
You bet.